Hey makeup friends, today we're going to be taking a look at the newest Birthstone palette from BH Cosmetics, the Diamond palette. I'm going to be showing you swatches, doing an eye tutorial, and just basically sharing my thoughts on the palette with you. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, let's get into it. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. Now quickly, if things are sounding a little bit different, I do have a new mic set up. I have been playing around with the settings and all of that, but it's a work in progress, so hopefully the sound is good. And also I have a new lens, so I'm hoping that things look a little bit crisper. We shall see, but at any rate, that's what we're working with today. Now, in terms of makeup that I have on my face, obviously on the eyes I do have the BH Diamond palette. On my lips is one of the new cream lipsticks from Huda Beauty. This one is in the shade Angel. And then for foundation, I have the new Kat Von D Good Apple foundation. This one is in the shade Light 021, which frankly I thought was going to be way too dark, and yet it's not. It works out perfectly, so that worked out well for me. And then blush, bronzer, and highlighter are all from this palette here from Jouer. This is the Champagne and Macaron palette, and that's what she looks like on the inside. Okay, so we have taken care of all of the housekeeping items, so let's get into the palette. As I said, this is one of the Birthstone palettes, so if you're not familiar, BH Cosmetics is releasing a Birthstone-inspired palette on the first day of each month this year, and the Birthstone for April is Diamond, and here we are. If you haven't seen the inside of the palette yet, this is what she looks like. So again, it's the exact same layout as the previous Birthstone palettes, where you get 6 regular-sized pans and then 1 large, and the large pan is meant to represent the Birthstone shadow. The palettes retail for $9 each, and like all other BH Cosmetics products, they are vegan and cruelty-free. They do have the Leaping Bunny certification, and BH also refers to them as extra clean. So when I go over to the website, it talks about what the ingredients are, but there's also an extensive list of what is not included in the ingredients. So for example, these shadows are paraben-free, gluten-free, nanoparticle-free. There's no formaldehydes, no toxic phthalates, no mineral oil, and then a whole bunch of other things that I can't pronounce. And then it also says that there is not more than 1% of synthetic fragrances in the palette. So that is it in terms of the stuff. Let's get into the actual shades. So I have to say, when I first saw this, I was a little underwhelmed. I mean, frankly, going into it, I didn't know what they were going to do with Diamond. I figured there was going to be at least one pressed glitter, and there is. And I figured that they would probably go towards this sparkly white or silver side of things, and they did. But what I wasn't expecting was the inclusion of the neutral shades and the pinkier tones. I probably should have been expecting that, considering they are included in all the other palettes from this series, but nonetheless, I was a little surprised. And then when I received it in the mail today, I opened it up and was immediately like, I don't know what to do with this. I sat there and I stared at it and I had no idea what I was going to do with this palette. And yet, in actual application, these neutral shades, particularly these two here, I don't tend to get much use out of these kind of cream shades, but at any rate, the pink and the warmer brown here, they blend out really nicely, and I think they add just a little bit of warmth that if you just stuck with silver tones and blacks, I think it would be a little bit harsh on the skin. So having that additional element of warmth, I think helps round out the look overall. So while I was a little off-put at first, in actual practicality, I do enjoy having those shades in there. Now, I said that there was a pressed glitter, and here it is right here, but I will say that it is a very, very smooth texture. You can see just how blinding and beautiful that is. It is a true silver, and I think it's absolutely stunning. Now, when I do show you a little bit closer my face, and possibly even right now you may be able to pick up, there are a few glitter specks on my face. Nothing terrible, but it does transfer down a little bit, and In fact, ends up in kind of random places. I have picked off a couple off of my forehead, and I can see just in the reflection here that I have a little speck over here, one over here, and one over here. I'm sure there's more, but I'm not going to go play hide and seek with them at this point. But suffice it to say that it does transfer around. And as you'll see when I go through the demonstration, I did use a glitter glue. In fact, I used the glitter glue from BH Cosmetics. This is the Base Booster Glitter and Shadow Glue. Let me tell you, this is very aggressive. It is very, very sticky. So the fact that some of this is escaping just speaks to the nature of the pressed glitter overall. So take that as you will. I don't necessarily mind it. I don't mind a few flecks on my cheeks and things of that sort. I prefer to work with this kind of formula than with an actual loose glitter. And for what it's worth, as I said, it is a very, very smooth texture. There's very little grittiness to it. And overall, I just think it's an absolutely beautiful shade. Like, it is very impactful and really does live up to that diamond name. As you can see from the swatches, they did not hold back on the impact of these shades. There's 3 matte shades, there's 1 pressed glitter, and then the black one has a very matte base, but you can see that it has a ton of little reflective glitter specks in there. I didn't find that those fell down on my cheeks all that much. It was more so the pressed glitter itself. And then there are those 2 really super foiled metallic shades as well. Overall, I really do think that they nailed the diamond concept of this palette very well. Now, going into the actual application of these shadows, and bearing in mind that this is just the first time I've used them, so there may be a bit of a learning curve, particularly when it comes to the use of the glitter base, because as I said, I did find it to be very sticky, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but wasn't exactly what I was expecting straight out of the gate. So that kind of played into it a bit. But the matte shades blended out as I would expect BH Cosmetics shadows to blend out. There was no patchiness, they weren't stubborn to work with, and overall, working with these shadows is just, frankly, a dream. I really have no complaints about the mattes. The neutral shade that's in there, personally, I would have preferred a different color. However, there is a time and a place for these bone-colored shades. If I wanted to, say, blend out the edges of the black shade, the cream-colored tone would help with that and could help soften the edges up a bit. I did use a very tiny bit of that on my lower lash line, and it was very pigmented for being what it is. So if you do enjoy a more matte inner corner highlight, or you do like to blend out your shadows with these cream kind of tones, this one is probably not going to disappoint you because it does pack a punch in terms of its pigment. So where I ran into just a little bit of difficulty was in applying the matte black, or the sparkly matte black. I'm not entirely sure if this finish actually has a name, but it is a matte base, so that's how I'm going to refer to it, even though we all know there's sparkle in it. So I did lay down the glitter glue first, and I'm not sure that I would do that again before applying this shadow, simply because it did make the edges a lot more difficult to blend out. I did manage to do it in the end, but it did take some effort on my part simply because of the stickiness of the base. So going forward, if I'm going to do this same kind of look where I put that black all over my lids, I think I would rather use a black base on my lids rather than a glitter glue. So for example, using Black Bean from NYX, one of their jumbo eye pencils, and then smudging that over the lid would give me the opacity that I'm looking for and just a tiny bit of tackiness, but I think overall that would have made applying the shadow that much easier. Now, having said that, once the shadow was applied over top of that sticky base, the stickiness was gone. It's just that the edges were very difficult to blend out for me. When applying the pressed glitter, I did go in with a little bit more glitter glue and just pat that along the center of my lid. And then, as you can see, I did try to pat the glitter on top and sort of dissipate those particles a little bit, simply because I didn't want a strip of opaque glitter on the center of my lid. However, I really do think that this particular pressed glitter, if you wanted a really metallic foiled look on the lids, this is one of those pressed glitters that lends itself to it. If you put glitter glue all over your lid and then use your finger to apply this, you could get a fully opaque layer of glitter, and I think it would look incredible. And then, as you can see, I also applied the metallic shade called Stunning, that more gunmetal kind of shade, over the inner portion of my lid. I really just kind of wanted a bit more of a gradient. I thought it was a little bit too stark of a contrast with the glitter and the black, so I wanted to just sort of ease that up a little bit. And I really think that this is another shade that's going to be beautiful on its own. It's fully opaque, it's beautifully foiled, and it's a very, very smooth shadow to work with. There are no glitter particles in there, it's just a foiled shadow. And then with respect to the large shadow that's in here called Diamond, that's what I used on my inner corner. And again, it's beautifully reflective, and I just think, particularly if you used Diamond and then the metallic shade, blended that into the black, you could have this beautiful gradient on your eyes. And overall, I'm really excited about the options that this palette provides. I was very hesitant at first about it. I wasn't really jazzed on the color story when I first saw it. And then when it arrived today, like I said, the first reaction was, what am I going to do with this? But having actually played with it and applied it, I really think it's beautiful. It doesn't necessarily lend itself to everyday wear for me. However, I don't have to go in with the pressed glitter or the black. I could just play with these shades here, and it would be a much more office appropriate sort of look. I don't think there's a ton of creativity allowed. Of course, there's only 7 shades, so you are constrained just in that regard. But from what's in here, if you do like a more metallic and sparkly kind of look, or if you do like a smokier kind of eye like this, for $9, you really can't go wrong. I really do find that the quality of these shadows far exceeds the price point. I really am blown away by the consistency of their shadows and just how well they perform. So I really don't have any regrets in that regard, and even if I don't use this on a day-to-day basis, at that $9 price point, I really can't complain. So there you have it, guys. Short and sweet today. I did just want to share my thoughts on the palette and show you the swatches, show you how it applies, and all of that good stuff. So I will link the palette down below. It is an affiliate link. If you shop through that, I do make a very small commission off of each purchase, but it really does help to go back into my channel and help fund things like a new mic and a new lens. So to anybody who has used my links or affiliate codes, I really do want to give a sincere thank you. There's absolutely no requirement for you to do so, but the fact that you do really means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. So with all that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next one. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.